This is the Yamaha R9, part of a new breed of supersports that offer a little more versatility than predecessors like the R6, with a more road-friendly riding experience. So is this now the perfect sports bike for the street, or have they watered it down so much that you can't have any serious fun? Well, today we're going to take it for a spin to find out. So first up, a quick overview of the specs on this bike so we know exactly what we're dealing with. Some of it will be familiar to you if you've ever paid attention to their excellent MT09 naked, although there are some key differences to tailor the chassis to this more sporting application. The starting point is their awesome CP3 inline triple, which is one of my favorite engines on the entire motorcycle market. Peak power is respectable with 117 horses up at 10,000 RPM, but it's the gutsy, usable mid-range that I really like about it. With 93 Nm of peak torque at 7,000 RPM and a really consistent delivery from about 3,000 RPM, as you'll see on this dyno chart from Cycle World of the MT09, which of course uses the same engine. Now wrapped around it we've got their aluminium delta box frame, which is where we start to see some departures from the MT09, with a bespoke frame design for the R9 which is said to be lighter and stiffer. In fact, it's their lightest ever supersport frame, which is one of the factors that contributes to a nimble total weight figure of 195 kilograms curb fully fueled up. Suspension is fully adjustable and comes courtesy of KYB. Braking comes from Brembo with their Stylema calipers up front. Wheels are cast aluminium, and they're wearing Bridgestone's RS11s, which are said to be both track and road appropriate. Interestingly, I read that this bike doesn't use the same spin-forged wheels as the MT09, which are said to be a little lighter, as the Yamaha testers during development found they actually preferred the feel of regular cast aluminium wheels at higher lean angles. Tech is plentiful as you'd expect, with a 6-axis IMU for lean-sensitive rider rates, plenty of riding modes and customization, an up and down quick shifter, cruise control, and a 5-inch dash through which you can get it all dialed in to your preference. Developed in the wind tunnel, they also say this is one of the most aerodynamic bikes they've ever produced, with some fashionable winglets that they say reduce front wheel lift by 6 to 7% in a straight line, and combined with the front spoiler, they say through a corner it rises to 10%. Now, will they realistically do much for it out on the road? I highly doubt it at those sorts of speeds, but one thing they have done to make it a better road bike is given it an ever so slightly relaxed riding position. So if you think of something like the R6, which, kind of is the predecessor for this bike, that sits at 850 mil in the seat height, whereas this is more like 830, so a good 20 mil lower, which should make it a little easier to reach the floor and therefore make it feel more comfy to use day in, day out. I think the pegs also sit a little bit lower, and while the bars do look low, they look kind of similar to something like an R6, well, I guess the rest of the rider triangle has dropped the seat and pegs, and so relatively, compared to the seat, they are kind of slightly higher. I will say, though, it doesn't feel quite as relaxed as probably the main competitor for this bike, which is the Ducati Panigale V2, which I was lucky enough to ride a couple of weeks back. I'll stick some pictures of the bars on the screen now from when I captured it the other week, and you'll see they're the sort of clip-ons that do sit a little bit proud of the top of the fork, whereas this one, they're properly clip-ons that sit well below. I can tell you straight away that the Ducati does have the more comfy road bias setup, and the R9 feels like something of a compromise between something like the R6 and a more comfy road bias sports bike like the Panigale. By comparison, the R9 comes up looking like a bit of a bargain. That standard V2 is just shy of £15,000, and the one you'd really want, the V2S with the fancier Olin suspension, well, that's almost 17 grand. Now, don't get me wrong, I absolutely love that new V2 engine from Ducati, and so it's definitely still worth a look. But that sort of price difference is so substantial that it will most likely rule it out for many who are considering the R9. The other bike that I would have considered another close equivalent is the RC990 from KTM, also promising to make about the same power, also sporty in the chassis spec, but also not hyper-focused in the riding position. Unfortunately, though, that one seems to be on hold while KTM sort out their financial situation, and so it looks like it won't be an option, at least for the foreseeable future. The key with this bike is its balance of performance and usability, and for me, it really does sit in that sweet spot very well in pretty much every regard. The engine has enough top-end power but also plenty of mid-range guts. The handling is fun and engaging but also not unstable. And the riding position where you feel like you're over the front, you feel like you can get in a tuck, but also the seat height's fairly moderate. Maybe if you're looking for a dedicated track day weapon, then this might not quite be it, especially for more experienced riders. And of course, if you're looking for something to do the daily commute, but you want something a bit sporty looking, then there are certainly better options perhaps that are a touch more sat up, down in the sort of affordable middleweight segment. But for anyone looking for something that can do a little bit of everything, that could do a bit of track day, that you could ride to work if you wanted, and perhaps primarily that you can have a really good time with on the weekend, then especially given the price versus the Ducati, you've really got to give this one a go. As always, I'd love to know what you think of the bike though, so do let me know down in the comments below, and I'll leave that Panigale V2 first ride on the screen now as well, in case you missed it. Do hit subscribe for more of the latest motorcycle news and reviews right here on Moto Bob. A massive thanks for watching this one, and hopefully we'll catch you in the next video.